Thank you for checking out this video and tuning into this episode of Airsoft Cloner, where we take a look at some of the most epic firearm setups seen in movies, TV shows, video games, military history and pop culture, and break down in nerdy detail exactly what makes them unique and interesting, and how to put together an accurate airsoft representation covering multiple options across different budget tiers. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Black Hawk Down CAR-15. Now, I've done a previous video already specifically about the real life, or as close as you can get to what we know of, the real life Gordy carbine. But this one's going to cover the carbines seen in the movie as well as the video game, the original 2003 video game, which is a real excellent play that I guarantee you would enjoy if you're a Black Hawk Down fan. Now, if I put too many movie clips of this into the video, I will get nuked by YouTube for using movie clips. So I'll put a few in, but I'll mostly be using little playthroughs here of the video game. Right, the Black Hawk Down CAR-15. So what is it? Well, it's supposed to be the high-speed, short M16 carbine variant used by Delta Force in the Battle of Mogadishu, Operation Gothic Serpent. In real life, these were Colt 723s that had some Gucci for the time accessories attached. In the movie, the gun prop company could only really get a hold of M16A2s. The M16A2s were correct for some of the Rangers, but not for everybody. What they ended up doing was cutting them down to carbine length, swapping out the stocks for, buffer tubes and collapsing stocks, and rolling with what looked somewhat like Colt M16A2 carbines, or Colt 727s. Some of them were cut further down to represent Colt 733 carbines, as seen by like the Medic and by the Captain Steel, and also adapted with the big silencers to look like the Gordy rifle, which is what they ended up using for their Gordy rifle, or their depiction of it. Where it's not accurate to what Delta Force would have been using, as they used carbines with the A1 rear sights and the A2 brass deflectors, like the 723. Using M16A2 carbines is still accurate to what some of the Rangers would have been using, like Sergeant Eversman and probably Captain Steel and the Medic. And so even though it's not real life accurate, it's still, pretty close. And the movie guns are still really, really popular firearms in both the real world and airsoft cloning communities. So there's going to be a guide on how to build something that looks somewhat like the rifles carried by Sanderson, the Delta operator, as well as Bush, who goes down in the first chopper, and Hoot.
You should be on at all times, all base.
Well, that's my safety, sir.
We'll also touch on Captain Steel's carbine, as well as, obviously, the Gordy build that's seen in the film. Alright, so you might be asking, what's the difference between these cut-down M16A2s made to look like carbines and actual carbines? Well, you can tell that the handguards have been cut down because they keep the skinny front end of the handguard and still have glued to the back of it the thicker, fatter portion of the handguard so that it can still use the Delta ring. Why they did this and didn't just get carbine handguards is kind of beyond me, but that's what they did. You can also tell that this is what they've done because the front end cap for the handguard is the triangular one seen on the M16 variant and not the circular one seen on the carbine variant. The barrel profiles are a little bit off, a little bit different. Some of them look like M4 profile barrels, and as the movie did use some M4s in place of the M16A2 carbines in places, it's plausible that they took some barrels off of some of the M4s and put them on to some of the CAR-15s. However, some of them it's quite unclear as to whether it's got an M4 profile barrel or if they've cleverly positioned the flashlight mount on the barrel to cover up where the grenade launcher mounting part of the barrel that makes it so distinguishable as an M4 profile barrel would be. So in short, it looks like they're using flashlights to cover up for the barrels, and they're using cut up handguards to pass off as carbine length ones. The reason they're using those is because they're stuck with the triangular end caps from the full length M16s. It's really long-winded, but it is what it is. For the purpose of cloning, we will ignore that a little bit. I have in my Blood Diamond video covered how to do that, and we'll touch on it again, but I'm not going to lean into that aspect of getting the handguards movie accurate just for the purpose of this. If you want to do it, go check out the Blood Diamond video where it basically covers the exact same guns in the exact same way. The accessories seen on the CAR-15s in the movie are also not accurate to what would have existed at the time. The Aimpoint Comp red dot sight didn't actually come out until 1994. It was issued throughout the US military with the M4 carbines. What did exist and was actually used by Delta Force and some of the Rangers were Aimpoint 5000 and 3000 red dot sights, as well as the older 2000s, though I can't actually find any photos of them being used in Mogadishu. The flashlights would have been Surefire 660s, maybe Surefire 6Ps, and they would have been mounted using a piece of pick rail or weaver rail attached to the vent holes in the lower portion of the handguard, not clamped round the barrels like seen in the movie. However, the movie barrel clamps are pretty dope and are kind of a iconic feature of those sort of high-speed special forces rifles from the movie. Any suppressors used in real life would have been the Ops Inc. over-the-barrel M4 suppressors that come all the way down to almost front sight post and align up with a special collar that goes around the barrel to keep the suppressor centered. I'm not sure what is used in the movie. It's not that. It's basically a suppressor attached to the 11.5 inch barrel, just to the threads. But funnily enough, one does actually exist in Airsoft for the purpose of cloning the Gordy rifle. So we'll get into that when we get to that portion of the video. Alright, so where do we begin? How do we clone this in Airsoft? There's a few ways you can go about it. Depends on your budget. There isn't really like a cheap Springer wall hanger tier option here, because to have the A2 rear carry handle sight requires a bit more budget. The real cheap ones just don't have that. So we're going to go in for a cheap AEG. To get a Colt M16 A2 carbine or 727 in Airsoft as a cheap AEG, you actually need to go about it in a similar way to how they did for the movie. They don't exist in that form. The easiest way is to buy an M16 A2, replace the stock on the front end, and away you go. You could also buy a 733, because the cheaper AEGs, for some reason, all of the 733s have A2 rear carry handle sights. And I think that is because they copied the Tokyo Marui AEG M733 Commando, which is directly based off of Black Hawk Down, the movie. It even says it all over the box. It's based on the Battle of Mogadishu. I think it actually says Battle of the Black Sea, Somalia. Delta Force. And yeah, and because it's based on the gun in the movie, it doesn't have the correct profile barrel. It actually has like an M16, like heavy profile barrel, instead of the correct sort of pencil profile barrel that 733s are supposed to have. But that's how they've done the Airsoft one, because they've copied the guns from the movie, specifically the one that Captain Steele uses, that were cut down M16A2s. You could go for, yeah, a 733 and then extend the outer barrel. That's probably going to be the easiest way. So that's what we're going to look at doing. Either a Tokyo Marui or an ENC or a double bell if you want to go a bit cheaper. Golden Eagle, JG, they all do 733 Commando AEGs that you can then simply add a cheap M4 barrel extension to get the barrel length right. If you're not bothered about the profile of the barrel, which you can see here, some of the movie carbines weren't either, you could just get a simple piece of, barrel extension, attach that to it, and then cover up where the M4 profile dip in the barrel would be with your light mount that we'll come to in a moment. So that's the easiest way to do it. Those AEGs are anywhere from 150 to 250 pounds, depending on which one you go for. The ENC ones and the Tokyo Marui ones are much nicer. If a metal receiver is important to you, you can buy the ENC metal receiver as an aftermarket part, or you can buy a Garda M16A2 metal receiver kit for the Tokyo Marui, and that'll really give you the highest quality base gun. You'll have that Tokyo Marui longevity, and you'll have the real nice externals that Garda do. All you then need is the accessories. If you wanted to go a bit more budget, those double bell 150 quid-ish base guns plus the accessories. This is one you can do at many price points, so it's a really good one to do if you fancy doing a Black Hawk Down build. So accessories wise, AliExpress, let's go. For AliExpress, you'll be able to get your flashlight mount, you'll be able to get the flashlight as well, and you'll be able to get your optic. You won't be able to get the optic mount yet, I don't think, but cheap ones are available at Amazon. So for the flashlight mount, it's basically a bit of Picatinny that has a barrel clamp on it that clamps around your barrel. Some of them can fit underneath the front sight post, some of them go out front of the barrel, depends what you want it to do. They cost anywhere between like £2 and £3.50. AliExpress shows you different prices depending on the day and your IP address, so pick up the cheapest one you can find, it really doesn't matter. The Surefire 6P, there's plenty of clones of these knocking about on AliExpress. I think they're called like Ultrafire or something like that, around 20 quid. I think you can pay a bit more and get a pack of batteries with them. They do take weird batteries, so that is advised really. Call it 25 tops with the light and the mount. And then the knockoff aim points, you can go for one that's like 20 quid all the way up to one that's like 50 quid. It depends how much you want to spend. If you keep it at the lower side, the aim point replicas on there, the aim point comp replicas, they come with this awful weird high mount, cantilever mount that just looks really lame. I have seen people try to do like a Delta Force build with one of these up on top of their carry handle, and it just looks absolutely retarded. So don't do that. Shunin optics or something, you can get the 30mm vertically split rings. That pretty much completes it there. If you got one of the nicer AEGs, it should come with the skinny handguards that the carbines at the time had. If you went for one of the cheaper ones, you might not have those handguards, and you might need to get some separately. You can get these from Asia for around 15 quid. You can get real ones from Brownells for like 25 quid. Probably easier to do that. You need to then apply paint in the places that have paint if you are cloning Sanderson. Actually no, his rifle's all black. If you're cloning Bush or Hoot's rifle, you're going to need to paint up the handguards and the stock with some tan and brown stripes in whatever way, orientation you want to do it. You can get a nice set of like camo spray paints on I think Amazon, yeah, for around 20 quid. Alright, so that sets you up for that. Nice entry level sort of AEG / nicer AEG, setting you back. If you go for the cheaper side with all the accessories added and the paint, probably around £250. If you go for the more expensive premium gun like the Tokyo Marui with the Garda kit, you're looking at about £380 plus the accessories and the paint and stuff, brings you about £450, £460, which is pretty damn good, to be fair, for a nice replica like this. What you can also do, you can remove that barrel extension add on either just a bird cage or a 607 moderator or something, and you've basically got the Blood Diamond CAR-15 if you paint the entire thing. Moving on up, we've got, we'll call it like the nicer AEGs, right? So we're going to be spending a bit more money here, probably clipping $1,000 depending on which base gun you go for. So you can go Tokyo Marui NGRS, or you can go with like an E-Volt. Basically an electric recoil gun, right? You are going to need to take it to, I think it's LC Engineering Outpost, with a fixed carry handle upper receiver, so something like the ENC receiver kit, for them to cut off that part of the receiver, add it to your receiver to give you the correct A2 fixed carry handle rear sight. After that, you add all the accessories that you got before, and then you're basically done. A Tokyo Marui NGRS M4 A1 will set you back about 500 quid, maybe 450 if you can find it at a good price. The work, I believe, costs 200 quid, plus the cost of the receiver set, which is another 80 quid. There you're looking at about 750, 760, and you've not added the accessories yet. Once you add the accessories, you're looking at like 800, 850 quid. You know, add the costs of the more premium guns on top of that, and with the E-Volt, it's around 800, 900 quid just for the base gun. So that's that route. That's if you wanted to go for a much more premium electric gun. You're not a fan of gas guns, you just want the electric, the ease of plugging in a battery and going. Do the extra work, get it looking spot on, minty. Don't just stick on an M4 carry handle and say that it's a Delta carbine, because it's not. Right, moving along. This isn't really up because these aren't as expensive really. SEMA CGS, VFC and Vipertech all make gas blowback Colt 727 carbines. You can buy them, they're done, they're ready to go. You just get them, and then you add the accessories, maybe some slightly nicer accessories this time. Maybe get like a primary arms, you know, red dot sight, or an actual aim point PRO, which is sort of the newer version of the Compen 2. Or if you just still wanted a replica, like a Holy Warrior Compen 2, but you get a nicer sight, you get a nicer torch, maybe a proper Surefire 660 like clone from Shekin Gears. Now, if you wanted an MWS compatible one, the SEMA CGS is probably a good starting point, though I found some of the magazines, the Tokyo Marui magazines, for example, don't really get on too well with the SEMA CGS. Now, you could buy a Tokyo Marui MWS M4A1 and do the exact same thing that we did before. So go get the receiver, have it cut for 500 quid, plus the work, plus the receiver. You're looking at about 900 quid, 850, 900 quid. Like, you have a proper Tokyo Marui compatible one that is an MWS. Any of the other options are fine. You can just straight up buy a Colt 727 M16A2 carbine and paint it up, add the accessories, and away you go. Now, the VFCs and the CGS, they come in around 500 quid as well. You don't need to do any work to them. They're ready to go, at least like looks wise. You just need to paint up the furniture and add the accessories. So say you add a nicer red dot, you know, you spend about 100 quid on your aim point comp. You know, just use the same £10 Amazon carry handle mount, but then you get your Shekin Gears, you know, 660 clone for like 70 quid, shipped from Asia, from Shekin Gears directly. You're looking at another 250 quid on top of the 550 quid base gun price. You end up with a very good, very usable, good quality replica. Now, if you go for the Vipertech, you're going to be spending about £1,200 on the gun itself. So it's definitely the much more premium option. And then I think if you're doing that, you've got to go all out on and get like an actual aim point red dot sight for another 400-500 quid, and then getting like an actual Surefire 660 or a 6P for it. Again, more expensive. They're hard to find. You end up spending like 300 quid on a flashlight, but if you're going all out on like a Vipertech GBBR, I think it deserves some all out clone correct accessories. You spend upwards of another grand on the accessories, the aim point, the Surefire 660 or 6P, and the mounts and the paint, and that is proper baller Black Hawk Down build. Beyond that, so what can you do to take it that one step further? Well, you can buy a set of M16 A2 handguards. You can get them on Brownells, they're not too expensive. They come with the triangular end cap, and you can cut them down so that they're the carbine length, plus the bit at the back, glue that onto it so that it still fits into the the Delta ring, and then use the triangular end cap instead of the circular carbine one that you have with your gun. That would make it look more like the carbines used in the movie that were chopped down M16s. If you wanted to go for the 733s used by Captain Steele and the medic, apologies I can't remember his name off the top of my head, with the cheaper AGs you have the option, you just remove your barrel extension. With the GBBRs, you need to get a 10.5 inch outer barrel for it, but those are cheap. MWS ones are cheap, VFC ones are cheap, you're looking around 30 quid, and then also use a M4 barrel extension, then you've got the option for both. That's kind of what I like to do. Also, if you're doing these as options, going the extra step and turning it into a gaudy, at least a movie gaudy carbine, is easy, because you just need that suppressor that you can get from CRW Airsoft, or you used to be able to get from CRW Airsoft, and that kind of completes the look of the movie gaudy carbine. You could go that extra step and paint the entire thing, and then just remove the suppressor and add on the Blood Diamond moderator, and you have kind of like a 4-in-1 clone build. You've got the Blood Diamonds, you've got the gaudy, you've got a bit of a bush / hoop build that's also can be, if you remove all the paint, the Captain Steele M733 build from Black Hawk Down. So you have one carbine that covers all of your Black Hawk Down / Blood Diamond carbine needs. It's worth noting here as well, it's always frequently pointed out that the Blood Diamond CAR-15 does show up in Black Hawk Down, albeit with a slightly different paint job. And there we have it, how to clone all of the Black Hawk Down CAR-15s. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way into the end, thank you very much, you're the best. Take a look at the merch if you've not before. We've got some merch up. Merch is a great way to support the channel financially, a bit more directly if you wish. If not, continue to watch, like, comment and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.